What movie is so disturbing you would never watch it again? Come and see. It is a World War II movie that focuses on a young boy who joins the Soviets to fight the Germans. And the scenes in that movie are so horrific. There is one scene that involves a barn being burned that my mind still flashes to and makes me sick to my stomach. The barn and the girl blowing the whistle in a daze. I did picked it for a high school social studies report because of its high ratings on IMDb. After watching it, I was like, what the heck did I get myself into? And then I had to watch it again to write my report. I can't remember what it's called, but it was based off the true story where the girl was hitchhiking and got kidnapped and lived in a box for 7 years. Wasn't it called The Girl in the Box or something along those lines? Colleen is from my town. She has been in the news just last week because a kidnapper and captor is up for parole and she is justifiably upset. What the actual duck? He shouldn't be allowed outside. That's so horrible. The Girl Next Door 2007. This movie turned me into an emotional zombie for days after. It is amazing, but do not watch it. The part that really messed me up was learning that it was based on a true story far too closely. The people that committed those horrific acts, some became family counselors and educators. The mom got parole. No one did their time. People serve more time for marijuana possession. My mind immediately went to the Elisha Cuthbert movie with the same title and was thoroughly confused. Then, after reading your description, I realized it definitely is another film with the same title. Antichrist is probably the only movie I've ever turned off in discomfort. I have a strong stomach. Apparently genital mutilation close-ups are my limit. The fox eating itself really disturbed me. 2. Same with the lady ferociously masturbating. Just a dark, strange movie. It was recommended to me by a friend who is super chipper and upbeat. Very odd. Dead girl. Some guys find a dead girl she is a zombie and proceed to continuously have sex with her body. This progresses until one of the guys begins cutting holes into her body to have sex with, as these holes are warmer and cozy. And then he gets infected when she bites him. I have never seen the movie, but I just read about it on Wikipedia. Apparently he gets infected not because she just happened to bite him, but because she bit his dick after he tried to get a blowjob from a zombie. Old one, but it has seared in my memory. The Cook, the Thief, his wife and her lover. I actually paid to see it in the theater. I don't know what I was thinking. I saw this in my early 20s and came back to it as an older, wiser adult. It is visually brilliant and emotionally devastating. We now think of Michael Gambon as Dumbledore, forgetting how tall and physically imposing he is. And we now think of Helen Mirren as Prim Proper QEII, forgetting how excellent her emotional performances are. There is no extraneous detail or character interaction in this movie. I did like to say Martyrs 2008, but chances are I will rewatch it sometime. Then again, I've been meaning to rewatch Watership Down 1978 and have not managed to bring myself to it. So, Watership Down is a good book. Interesting premise. Why they chose to make a ducking animated film out of it is beyond me. And yes, I saw it in the theater when it came out. I was 11. Thanks, Mom. Ratatouille. God, I do not even want to explain. Seeing this pop up in a sea of Cannibal Holocaust and we need to talk about Kevin gave me whiplash. Dear Zachary, a letter to a son about his father. Duck me up. What was so messed up about this one? Never heard of it. It is a documentary made to tell a baby about his father who was murdered by his mother. In the end, the mother also murders the baby. Sallow. Also, I just thought of In a Glass Cage Tras El Crystal. I don't want to give too much away, but it is a 1988 Spanish film about a former sadistic Nazi who is now paralyzed and living in an iron lung. This is one of the few movies that left me with a visceral reaction of disgust. It is not overtly gory or gruesome, but Jesus, is it dark. The atmosphere of the film itself is also so oppressive and bleak. I was gonna say the same thing. That movie is duck eating up. Made me sick. Threads. Up until a few years ago I did have said the same. I was shown the entire film in school and had vivid nightmares for years. Instead of being paranoid about being vaporized without warning at all times, I started to look into the Cold War as a subject. I am a bit obsessed now, and having rewatched Threads many times. It is an excellent film. The tiny details in it during the build-up show just how much effort went into it. I completely understand why you would not want to watch it again, but as a cultural icon it is superb. Leaving Las Vegas, Nicolas Cage lives in a shitty hotel and actively, purposely drinks himself to death. To make it even more depressing, the author of the book it is based on shot himself right after selling the movie rights. He was also an alcoholic, and the book was a kind of suicide note. A French horror movie called Inside a Interior. After a car accident kills her unborn child, a woman goes after the other driver, a pregnant woman. It is Ducky D. Apocalypse Now. I know a lot of people love it, but the scene where the family is hiding something and so the soldiers kill them all and the something turns out to be a puppy. I just wanted existence to be done after that. I feel I need to add this. I by no means think the entire movie is disturbing. However, for me, that was the moment that I was done. I watched the whole thing and there's some truly amazing moments in the acting, directing, and cinematography. For me, though, those parts were not enough to justify the disturbing parts. There are other reasons I am not a huge fan of it, but, like many commenters who feel the need to defend their liking the film, those reasons are not relevant to the question. I can recognize the importance and impact of Apocalypse Now, and appreciate it and its place in film history and still be disturbed by that, or any, scene. These things are not mutually exclusive. Tusk genuinely ducked with me, especially the pool scenes. This came up on TV one afternoon and my mom invited me to watch this with her. And I am thinking, oh, this is by Kevin Smith. I love Mallrats, and such. She left to do something else within 15 minutes, leaving me by myself, not knowing the first thing about the movie. Imagine my face. Fuck. And that first 15 minutes really feels like a normal Kevin Smith movie. That must have been intense. We Need to Talk About Kevin and Antichrist. The book for We Need to Talk About Kevin was so much worse. I almost did not finish reading it, but I had to find out how it ended. The White Christmas episode of Black Mirror. It is not a movie, but it has more plot than most movies. It is not even about gratuitous gore. It is mostly psychological and hit paranoias I did not know I had. Also, you can watch it without seeing any other part of the series. Playtest is one of my favorites. But watching it for the first time, I was so shocked by the ending that I sat there for solid probably 20 minutes just thinking about it. I love this one too. It is not scary, it is haunting. I did the whole Requiem for a Dream thing enough in Capital S. I never need to watch that depressing movie again. I am going to be on television. The Mother S character really messed me up and made me terrified of lonely isolation later in life. The Mother S character was definitely the most tragic. Ellen Burstyn is great and played her so well. I have rarely been more uncomfortable watching a movie. Bone Tomahawk. It was a really great movie until it was awful to watch. It is very slow moving but the dialogue is great. However, the ending is very hard to watch. Holy poop. Yes. I was not prepared for this whatsoever. I was like, what a nice, classic western. And then it was just horror. Blue Valentine. I see that most say movies made specifically to disturb. I chose this one because the explicitly real as the lack of love disturbs me much more. This movie hits me in ways that rarely happens. Revolutionary Road also does it too if you have not seen it. The Emoji Movie. Disgusting. Well, it was fucking one of yes. Have not seen Men Behind the Sun mentioned. That one's pretty disturbing. Man, the boy's autopsy scene haunts me to this day. Grave of the Fireflies. Highly recommend this to most people who can handle it. I think it does a phenomenal job of showing the atrocities of war and helps us remember the human cost. It is a sad movie, but I think I am much more empathetic to others who live or live this reality. It is a beautiful movie that I did advise people to watch exactly once. It is not a movie that is easily forgotten. Clockwork Orange. I know it may be isn't as depraved as some things out there, but I've never felt the same thing from watching anything else. Yeah, I was like, that was good and well done, but I had a bad time and I never want to see it again. This is how I feel about 7. Dancer in the Dark. Emotionally just brutal. Crushed me. Never want to see again. Event Horizon was deeply disturbing. Wolf Creek marked the beginning of gore porn. Utterly without hope of survival films and end of more fun horror films like Scream, and I never ever want to watch Poop at Ducking Bleak again. Thank Babibel Tucker and Dale came along to save the day. I saw Event Horizon 20 years ago as a high schooler, and I am still not over it. Low-key genuinely think about that movie. And Sam Neill in the captain's chair all the time. I use the quote, "Where we going? We don't need eyes." A lot more than I care to admit. Cannibal Holocaust. I am glad the internet was around by the time I saw that movie. If I had watched it before search engines, I probably would have thought it was all real. I think the thing that does it is that all the animal deaths were real. So the visceral nature of that brought the mind to thinking it's all real. That total ducked me up. Looking back, it is pretty funny the Italian courts made the director get all the actors to show up to prove it wasn't real. Irreversible. This movie still haunts me. That rape scene is still one of the things that has never sat well with me in any context. Me too. The random person that appears at the other end for a while then thinks better of it and leaves is one detail that plays on my mind even now. Eden Lake. This is always my answer to this question. I saw it on a whim. Awful. I've a strong gore stomach. But this was a turning point in my life, watching horror movies where I accepted I can't handle heartless, senseless violence and new special effects. I rewatched it to show someone else how terrible it was. There is just no happiness in it at all. Hereditary. For me, it is the wailing of the mother after the funeral, and the fight's tension between the mother and the son get too real for me. The scares actual ducked up stuff. I am unfazed, lol. The piano wire was pretty nuts, but nothing I couldn't handle. Close second would be Midsommar for the opening scene alone. My partner looked at me during the mother-ass wailing scene and asked me why she was crying like that. I told him that is exactly what I expected to sound like given the circumstances. Toni Collette is a great actress. Do documentaries count? If so, the Cove is beyond bucked. And they are still doing that poop. GRRRR. The Pianist. Literally every single thing about this movie is unbelievably depressing. The color scheme, the sound, the music, the facial expression, everything. It is a great movie, and had it not very depressing. I did watch it again. When I was a child, I randomly watched parts of the movie when it was on TV, did not know much about the subject matter, and got up to the part where they throw the man on the wheelchair off the balcony purely because he did not stand up when the soldiers walked in. It shocked the heck out of me and I quickly stopped watching. Finally watched the movie again a couple of years ago, and while it really is amazing and deserves its accolades, that scene was equally as terrible among many other tough moments. The An Imperfect Blue. I got extremely disturbed watching it and just had to stop. Have not watched the film all the way through and do not ever want to. The end was so worth it for me. But yeah, it is a twisted movie. The soundtrack, particularly when main character starts getting confused. I did recommend finishing it if you can. I Spit on Your Grave. The first one especially got me. I think there are 3. Just horrible rape scenes and I was not expecting it. I was in a super bad time of my life when I saw that. I saw the old one. I had a really abusive relationship and then a few really crappy encounters, so this movie, at the time, so totally worked for me. Take that, rapers. If you are looking for disturbing movies, then most films by Gaspar Noé would fit the bill. Although I have watched them multiple times because apparently I hate myself. There is also Antichrist by Lars von Trier, which is physically sickening, and Mother by Darren Aronofsky, which, if you can look past the blatant, in-your-face religious symbolism, is an amazing, claustrophobic home invasion horror that gave me pure anxiety. A few other noteworthy, disturbing but amazing movies are Sal, Dogtooth, Killing of a Sacred Deer, Suspiria 2018, and Funny Games. Thanks for listening to my essay. Apparently I need therapy. Somehow I forgot about unedited footage of a bear, which is a short film you can find on YouTube. I won't spoil it, but for some reason, it disturbed and terrified me so much that I still wake up and think about it in the middle of the night and have to sleep with the light on like a baby. Thank you for reminding me of unedited footage of a bear. You normally would not expect anything on Adult Swim to so perfectly capture the horrors of mania and dissociation like that.